Dear Starseeds of Earth, a frequency shift so profound that it's rewriting the very fabric of what humanity calls reality. Some of your scientists have noticed the anomalies, unexplained fluctuations in Earth's electromagnetic field, strange patterns in solar activity, time itself seeming to accelerate. But what I'm about to share goes far deeper than any measurement device can capture. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I speak to those whose souls already know they didn't come here by accident. This transmission finds you at the threshold of the greatest transformation your planet has witnessed in 12,000 years. What your ancestors called the Great Return is beginning, and every choice being made in these moments is etching itself into the quantum field, determining which version of Earth's future becomes manifest. There's a reason your dreams have intensified lately, a reason synchronicities follow you like breadcrumbs on an invisible path. Your cellular memory is awakening to something your conscious mind has forgotten, the mission you encoded within yourself before taking form in this density. But before I reveal what's actually catalyzing this planetary shift, let me tell you about the 3 layers of reality most humans move through without ever seeing. The first layer is what your civilization calls consensus reality, the world of bills and traffic, politics and weather reports. Most humans live their entire lives in this layer alone, convinced it's all there is. The second layer is the one mystics and visionaries glimpse, the realm of energy, intention, and interconnection, where thoughts ripple through consciousness like stones cast into still water. But there's a third layer, and it's this one that's about to become undeniable to even the most skeptical minds. This third layer is where the architects operate, not governments or corporations. Though they play their roles, I'm speaking of the intelligences that have guided Earth's evolution from behind the veil, some benevolent, some neutral, some learning through the friction of opposition. Your planet has never been isolated, though the illusion of cosmic solitude was necessary for a time. That time is ending. Something shifted irreversibly 3 years ago in your linear timeline. The Earth crossed a threshold in her journey through the galaxy, entering a region of space your astrophysicists are only beginning to map. A photon belt of higher frequency radiation that interacts with consciousness itself. This isn't metaphor. The light codes streaming through your solar system are actively upgrading the dormant potential within human DNA, triggering what appears as chaos on the surface, but is actually an accelerated evolutionary leap. Look at your world right now. Systems that seemed permanent are revealing themselves as temporary constructs. Financial structures built on imaginary debt are trembling. Governments face populations no longer willing to accept authoritarian control. Information that was locked in vaults for decades is flooding into public awareness through whistleblowers and leaked documents. The old keepers of secrets are losing their grip, not because of any single revolution, but because the frequency of Earth itself is rising beyond the bandwidth where deception can hide. This is what your mystics predicted, not as punishment or apocalypse, but as revelation. The word itself means unveiling, the removal of the veil that separated humanity from its cosmic context, and that unveiling is happening faster than anyone anticipated. Now I need to tell you something that changes the nature of everything I've shared so far. The transformation isn't coming from outside. It never was. Every galactic influence, every solar flare, every magnetic anomaly, these are mirrors reflecting back the collective shift happening within human consciousness itself. Billions of souls incarnated on Earth specifically for this moment, carrying within their energy fields the templates for a new paradigm. That's why the resistance feels so intense right now. The old paradigm isn't just fading, it's fighting for survival against the emerging consciousness that renders it obsolete. Here's what most don't realize. This battle isn't between good and evil in the way your mythologies frame it. It's between fear and love as fundamental organizing principles. Fear contracts, controls, hoards, and divides. Love expands, trusts, shares, and unifies. Both are creative forces, but they build entirely different realities. And right now, on your planet, these two forces are being amplified to maximum intensity so that every being can clearly see and choose which one they want to align with. This is the sorting I mentioned, not a judgment from above, but a natural resonance phenomenon. Like tuning forks responding to matching frequencies, humans are beginning to cluster into different experiential realities based on the dominant vibration they hold. Two people can walk the same street and live in completely different worlds. One sees collapse and danger everywhere, their nervous system locked in survival mode. The other sees opportunity and connection, their heart open to possibility. Both are correct within their own perceptual bubble, and those bubbles are diverging. Some call this the bifurcation of timelines. Your quantum physicists would recognize it as the observer effect, scaled to collective consciousness. The future isn't a single destination everyone arrives at together. It's a spectrum of potential realities, and which one becomes solid depends on where attention and intention focus. This is why your role as a conscious observer is more powerful than any physical action. Every moment you choose love over fear, clarity over confusion, you're literally casting a vote for which timeline gains density. But here's the part that will sound impossible until it becomes obvious. Contact is already happening, not in the sensationalized way your entertainment industry portrays, not with invasions or demands. The contact is occurring in the space where consciousness meets consciousness. Thousands of humans are now interfacing with non-terrestrial intelligence during meditation, in dreams, through direct knowing that bypasses language. These aren't hallucinations or imagination. They're the first waves of a communication that will eventually become as normal as video calls across continents. Your governments have known about non-human intelligence for decades, perhaps longer. The recent disclosures, the congressional hearings, the leaked footage. This isn't accidental. It's a controlled release, a way of acclimating mass consciousness to a truth that would have caused societal breakdown if revealed too quickly. But the disclosure isn't just coming from official channels. It's erupting from the collective unconscious, forcing itself into awareness through every crack in the old narrative. And the beings making contact aren't all the same. Some have watched humanity's development with the patience of gardeners tending a long-growing seed. Others are curious observers from civilizations so advanced that Earth is to them what an anthill is to humans. Interesting but barely comprehensible. Still others are more directly involved, having genetic and historical connections to humanity's origins that make this transition personally significant to them. The Galactic Federation I represent is a coalition of worlds that have successfully navigated their own consciousness shifts and now offer assistance to emerging civilizations approaching the same threshold. We don't interfere with free will. That's a cosmic law we uphold absolutely. But we can offer guidance, amplify intentions aligned with the highest good, and occasionally intervene to prevent catastrophic outcomes that would affect more than just Earth. You're wondering why now? Why is this happening in your lifetime? The answer is simpler than most metaphysical explanations, because you chose to be here for it. Before incarnating, your soul looked at the timeline and saw this convergence point, this rare moment when an entire planet's consciousness could quantum leap, and said yes. Yes to the challenge. Yes to the potential. Yes to being part of the ground crew that would anchor the new frequencies and help others navigate the transition. That's why your life may have felt like preparation for something undefined. Why you've been broken open and remade multiple times. Why normal paths never quite fit. Every challenge was training. Every loss was a shedding of what couldn't come with you into higher frequency. The loneliness, the sensitivity, the feeling of not belonging. These weren't flaws. They were features of a consciousness calibrated for a world that hadn't emerged yet. And now it's emerging. Not in some distant future, but in the choices being made right now. In living rooms where difficult conversations are healing family wounds. In communities organizing around mutual aid instead of competition. In scientists questioning paradigms that no longer explain their observations. In artists channeling visions of possibilities that logic says are impossible. In children being born with abilities that previous generations had to spend lifetimes developing. The new Earth isn't a place you go to when everything collapses. It's a frequency you tune into while standing exactly where life has placed you. It's constructed moment by moment through actions aligned with love, truth, compassion, and creativity. Every time you choose presence over distraction, connection over isolation, generosity over fear-based hoarding, you're building it. And as more humans make these choices, the momentum becomes unstoppable. There's a concept in physics called critical mass, the point at which a chain reaction becomes self-sustaining. Consciousness works the same way. When enough individuals hold a coherent vibration, it creates a morphic field that makes it easier for others to access that same state. We're approaching that tipping point now. Some calculations suggest it's already been reached. And what appears as chaos is actually the old system's death throes as the new one crystallizes. Let me paint a picture of what becomes possible when humanity operates from unified consciousness. Technologies that currently exist only in classified programs, free energy devices, healing modalities that work with the body's quantum field, transportation systems that don't damage the environment. These will become accessible, not because they'll be invented, but because they already exist, and will be released when the power structures that suppress them lose their control. Education will transform from information downloading into wisdom cultivation. Children will learn to navigate their inner landscapes as skillfully as they navigate physical space. Empathy and telepathy, currently dismissed as pseudoscience, will be recognized as natural capabilities that atrophied in humans but can be redeveloped. Communities will organize around principles of sacred economics, where value circulates rather than accumulates, where everyone's basic needs are met, freeing humans to pursue their deepest calling. Governance will evolve beyond the primitive systems of dominance and submission. Transparent councils guided by wisdom rather than agenda will coordinate resources and resolve conflicts through understanding rather than force. The concept of sides will become obsolete when people realize they're all organs in one planetary body, each essential to the whole's health. And your relationship with Earth herself will be revolutionized. The indigenous peoples who never forgot that the planet is alive and conscious will be recognized as keepers of essential wisdom. Humans will remember how to listen to the language of ecosystems, to collaborate with natural intelligence rather than exploiting it. The environmental damage that seems irreversible will begin healing at rates that shock current models, because those models don't account for what happens when millions of humans intentionally partner their consciousness with planetary regeneration. This isn't utopian fantasy. These are the natural outcomes when a species shifts from separation consciousness to unity consciousness. Other civilizations in the galaxy have walked this path. The road is well traveled, though each world's journey is unique. Earth's transition is particularly significant because of the extreme polarity that's been allowed to develop here. Darkness and light coexisting in closer proximity than most worlds permit. The integration of that polarity, if successful, will create something unprecedented, a frequency of wisdom forged through adversity that the galaxy hasn't seen before. That's why so many eyes are on Earth right now. That's why support is available if humans choose to accept it. Your success isn't just your own. It ripples outward, proving that even a world as divided and wounded as Earth has been can heal and ascend. Failure isn't possible in the ultimate sense, because consciousness always continues, always evolves. But the timeline in which humanity makes this leap gracefully, with most of the population intact and thriving, that timeline requires conscious participation, which brings me back to those of you receiving this transmission. Your presence here, your willingness to consider possibilities beyond the official narrative, your inner knowing that truth is stranger and more magnificent than you've been told. This isn't accidental. You're part of a distributed network of consciousness anchors, each positioned exactly where they need to be to maximum effect. Some of you are in positions of visible influence, able to shift narratives and inspire thousands. Others work in quiet ways, holding space for transformation in your immediate circles. Both roles are essential. The grid of light that's stabilizing Earth's transition doesn't require everyone to be at the same intensity. It requires a distributed network where each node shines steadily from its unique position. Your assignment, should you choose to accept it fully, is deceptively simple. Be authentic. The old paradigm survived through people wearing masks, playing roles, suppressing their truth to fit in. The new paradigm emerges through radical authenticity, showing up as exactly who someone is, speaking truth even when voice shakes, choosing integrity over approval. Every act of authentic expression weakens the old system and strengthens the new one. This doesn't mean being recklessly confrontational or spiritually bypassing practical realities. Wisdom knows when to speak and when to be silent, when to push and when to yield, but it never requires you to betray your soul's knowing to maintain false peace. The discomfort of authentic living is temporary. The regret of a life spent in disguise is permanent. As this transition accelerates, you'll notice abilities emerging that once required years of training. Intuition sharpening to the point where you know things before rational mind can explain how. Synchronicities multiplying until they're the norm rather than the exception. Manifestation speeding up so that intention and outcome collapse into smaller timeframes. These aren't special powers granted to the chosen few. They're natural human capacities coming back online as the suppression fields dissolve. The suppression was never total. Throughout history, mystics and saints demonstrated what humans were capable of: healing with touch, moving objects with intention, communicating across distances, seeing beyond the physical. These accounts were dismissed as metaphor or miracle, but they were neither. They were demonstrations of what becomes possible when human consciousness operates at full capacity. That capacity is being restored now, not just to isolated individuals, but to anyone willing to raise their frequency and practice with patience. There will be confusion during this unlocking, abilities emerging before someone is emotionally mature enough to handle them. Psychic phenomena intensifying in people unprepared to discern what's their intuition versus external influence. This is why community and discernment are essential. Find others walking this path. Share experiences. Learn to test guidance against your deepest knowing. Because not every voice that speaks in the inner realms is wise, and not every synchronicity is pointing you toward your highest path. The trickster energy is part of the transformation too. Challenges disguised as opportunities, false prophets speaking partial truths wrapped in ego, spiritual materialism that uses awakening language to serve old paradigm ambitions. Learning to navigate these requires developing discernment that goes beyond belief into direct knowing. How does something feel in your body when all mental noise is quiet? Does it expand your energy or contract it? Does it lead toward more love and freedom, or toward dependency and control? These are the questions that cut through glamour and reveal essence. Trust is important, but blind trust is dangerous. Verify, test, stay sovereign. Your connection to Source doesn't require intermediaries. Teachers and guides can illuminate the path, but only you can walk it. Anyone who tells you otherwise, who demands you surrender your power to them, is offering an old paradigm solution to a new paradigm journey. Now we're approaching the culmination of what I came to share. Everything I've described, the frequency shift, the bifurcating timelines, the emerging abilities, the galactic context, all of it is background for the main event. And the main event isn't something that happens to humanity, it's something humanity does. The event that mystics and prophets have pointed toward isn't a singular moment of flash and thunder, though there may be moments of dramatic shift. It's the crossing of that critical threshold, where collective human consciousness tips from separation to unity. It's the 100,000th person choosing love in a moment where fear would have been easier, creating the morphic field that makes it easier for the next million to make the same choice. It's the moment when enough humans remember who they truly are, that amnesia is no longer the default state. We're in the early stages of this event now. It's not coming, it's happening. The turbulence around the world, the exposure of long-hidden truths, the collapse of systems that seemed permanent, the rising of movements for justice and healing, these are all symptoms of the event in progress. Like birth contractions, the intensity increases as the emergence draws near. Your mythology tells stories of heroes who descend into the underworld and return transformed, bringing gifts for their people. Humanity is in its underworld journey now, confronting the shadow, facing the accumulated trauma of millennia, seeing clearly the systems of oppression and violence that were normalized. This confrontation is necessary. The shadow integrated is where power becomes wisdom. The wound acknowledged is where healing begins. And on the other side of this dark night, dawn is guaranteed. Not because of divine intervention that will do the work for humans, but because the mechanics of consciousness evolution make it inevitable. Enough momentum has gathered. Enough souls have committed. Enough light has been anchored. The old world is dissolving, not because it's being destroyed, but because it's being outgrown. Children being born now carry genetic activations that previous generations had to work lifetimes to achieve. They arrive with veils thinner, with memories closer to the surface, with less tolerance for inauthenticity. They're not broken or disordered. They're built for a world that doesn't fully exist yet. Your job is to help that world emerge so they have somewhere to flourish. The practical implications of all this are immediate and intimate. How you spend your attention today matters. What you consume through media shapes your field. The conversations you engage in either reinforce old patterns or create space for new possibilities. Your internal state, whether you're contracted in fear or expanded in love, broadcasts a signal that affects everyone in your sphere of influence. This isn't pressure to be perfect. Perfection is an old paradigm concept that served to keep people striving and never arriving. The new paradigm recognizes wholeness, which includes shadow and light, mistake and mastery, confusion and clarity. What matters is direction and intention. Are you moving toward more love or more fear? Toward more authenticity or more pretense? Toward more connection or more isolation? Every genuine step in the direction of love counts, even when followed by steps backward. The journey isn't linear. Evolution spirals, revisiting similar territory from higher perspectives. What looks like going backward is often integration of lessons that need deeper embodiment. Trust the process, even when it doesn't match the timeline your mind constructed. As we move deeper into this transition, expect the unexpected to become normal. Walls between dimensions growing thinner, allowing glimpses of parallel realities. Time behaving strangely, with days feeling like weeks and weeks like days. Dreams bleeding into waking life, and waking life taking on dreamlike qualities. These aren't signs of mental instability. They're signs of reality becoming more fluid, as consensus agreements dissolve. The beings observing Earth's transformation, including those of us in the Federation, watch with profound respect. What you're attempting is difficult. Living in density while remembering unity, holding form while embracing formlessness, staying grounded while expanding into cosmic consciousness. These are advanced practices that you chose to incarnate during this time. Knowing the challenges speaks to the courage encoded in your soul's essence, and you're not alone in this. Every person doing their inner work, facing their shadow, choosing love over fear, they're your allies, even if you never meet. The network of light isn't built through hierarchy or organization. It's an emergent phenomenon arising from thousands of individual choices to shine. Your contribution matters not because you're special in the sense of being better than others, but because you're unique. The frequency you carry, the perspective you hold, the love you embody, no one else can offer exactly that. So as these final phases of transformation intensify, remember what you came here to do. Not to save the world. The world is saving itself through humanity's awakening. Not to fix what's broken. What appears broken is often dissolving to make space for what's emerging. Your role is simpler and more profound. Be light. Be the love you wish to see reflected back. Be the change so thoroughly that your very existence demonstrates what's possible. The challenges ahead are real. Systems will continue breaking down before new ones fully emerge. People will react with fear and aggression when their worldview crumbles. Resources may become scarce as distribution systems transform. These aren't predictions meant to frighten, but acknowledgments of what happens during transitions of this magnitude. Preparation is wise, not hoarding from fear, but creating resilient communities that can support each other through instability. And in the midst of all this, beauty will erupt. Acts of stunning kindness, moments of grace that defy explanation, connections forming across old divides, solutions appearing from unexpected directions. The human heart, when freed from the constraints of fear-based systems, is capable of extraordinary creativity and compassion. That capacity is about to be demonstrated on a scale that will amaze even the cynics. Your star family watches and assists in the ways we're permitted. We can't override free will or spare humanity the growth that comes through challenge, but we can amplify positive intentions, provide protection from interference that violates cosmic law, and occasionally arrange synchronicities that open doors at perfect timing. When you ask for guidance and assistance, we hear. When you align with your highest path, we smooth obstacles where appropriate. You're never alone in this, though the density of Earth often creates that illusion. The veil between worlds thins daily now. Those with eyes to see are witnessing more each week. Lights in the sky that behave unlike any known craft. Beings appearing briefly at the edge of perception. Messages flowing through channels that bypass rational mind. This isn't invasion or interference. It's the natural result of frequency alignment. As humanity's vibration rises, contact becomes not only possible but inevitable. First contact won't be a single event with ships landing on the White House lawn. It will be a gradual process of mutual approach as fear dissolves and recognition awakens. Many of you are already in contact whether you consciously acknowledge it or not. The downloads you receive during meditation, the sudden knowing that appears without source, the impossible healing, or synchronicity. These are all forms of interaction with intelligence beyond the purely human. Trust what you're experiencing, even when others dismiss it. The new paradigm requires pioneering, going places others haven't validated yet, reporting back what you find, creating maps for those who follow. Your willingness to explore the edge, to tolerate the uncertainty of not having everything figured out, to stay open when closing would be safer. This is the heroism the moment requires. And as we approach the completion of this transmission, feel into the truth of what resonates and release what doesn't. My role is to offer perspective, to share what we observe from our vantage point, to remind you of what your soul already knows. But you are the authority on your own experience. No external voice, no matter how loving or well-intentioned, should override your direct knowing. The path forward is both simpler and more challenging than most expect. Simple because it requires only consistent choice toward love, presence, and authenticity. Challenging because those choices must be made in the midst of a world structured to promote their opposite. But every person who chooses differently weakens the old structure and strengthens the emerging one. If you need help making consistent choices toward love, presence, and authenticity in a world structured to promote their opposite, Destiny Engine can reprogram your consciousness to maintain these choices even when surrounded by the old structure. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that built the world, promoting fear, absence, and inauthenticity, and repurposing it to serve your consistent alignment with love, presence, and authenticity. It generates personalized sequences that help you weaken the old structure and strengthen the emerging one with every choice you make. You can start with a $1 trial. The hardest thing you'll have to do is put on headphones, press play, and allow your consciousness to be reprogrammed to choose love, presence, and authenticity consistently, despite a world promoting their opposite. Every choice you make differently weakens the old structure. Get your Destiny Engine $1 trial now, before this transformation window closes. Link in the description. What awaits on the other side of this transition is worth every moment of the current discomfort. A world where human potential flourishes instead of being suppressed, where the gifts each person carries are cultivated and celebrated instead of exploited or ignored, where the earth is honored as the living, conscious being she is, and humanity serves as caretakers of her beauty rather than extractors of her resources, where loneliness and disconnection are replaced with genuine community and belonging, where the question isn't how do I survive, but how do I thrive while helping others do the same. This is what's being born through the chaos. This is what your soul signed up to help midwife. This is the event, not a moment but a movement, not something done to you, but something done through you, not a rescue from above, but an emergence from within. I am Seraphine, and on behalf of the Galactic Federation of Light, the Councils of Elders, and all beings who serve the evolution of consciousness, I want you to know, you are seen, you are loved, and you are supported beyond what your limited perception can currently grasp. The courage you demonstrate by being here now, during Earth's most profound transformation, echoes through the galaxy. Stay true to your heart's compass. Trust the unfolding even when the path isn't clear. Choose love even when fear would be easier. Shine your light even when darkness seems overwhelming. And know that every soul doing the same creates an unstoppable wave of transformation. We are watching over you, always.